When you listen to that, I mean, there are people who will say, listen, the imbalance is there. There does need to be something about it. How much truth or not is in that statement?
Yeah, China has been a bad actor for a while. No one disagrees with that on either side of the aisle. They have many times done things the international community has said are not okay, and so they need to be acted against. But this president's go-to is tariffs in massive ways. You were just talking a minute ago about possible tariffs against French wine. It's almost at the point where if you haven't had a tariff levied, it's like, am I really an ally of the U.S. at this point, right? Because they're constant. So the real question is this helping us? Are we going to be in better shape because of it? And what was really shocking yesterday about the president's tweets was he said, I hereby order all American companies to move away from China. Yeah. And there's something I think in most Americans, unless you're in the military possibly, that when you hear I hereby order, you kind of bristle against that because the president's not tweeting from like the Iron Throne. I think that is the nickname for the restroom in Air Force One, but other than that, and now my parents are changing the channel, I'm sorry. Anyway, but there is this sense of this hasn't been done before, is that allowed? And the president doubled down on that last night and said, no, it is. Just read the Economic Powers Act of 1977. And so at 4:30 this morning, it was riveting. I read the Economic Powers Act of 1977, and basically it says, yeah, the president does have a lot of discretion in a national emergency to do these kinds of things. But there's a whole section that talks about his responsibility to go to Congress and get pre-approval prior to that, i.e. prior to tweeting, right? And so it's definitely, this is the kind of, this act was used by President Bush, for instance, to say we're going to block funds from terrorists after 9/11. It's never been used to say we're going to direct all American companies away from the second largest economy in the world. And so, of course, there's a significant market drop because there's now fear escalating over, well, what's this going to look like?
Yeah, the uncertainty, what is next? Because we can't imagine that there will be no response, whether that's in announcing new tariffs or in some statement from China. Considering that uncertainty, does this change how you advise your clients, what you tell them the short-term, long-term prospects for their money is and should be?
Yeah, 100%, because here's the issue is that, first of all, regardless of your politics, and people will hear this and go, this is going to be political, but no, actually, whether you love President Trump or you don't support him, you have no control over Washington, right? But this will directly impact your 401k, and we now live in what I call a market-driven retirement for most folks. I mean, your parents, your grandparents may have had a pension, and so that was what they relied on for retirement. Most of us rely on the market. Right? And so regardless of your politics, you have to say, I can't control Washington. What can I control? And that's the risk that I'm taking. And here's the danger. Because interest rates are so low, because we just dropped interest rates again recently. We didn't talk about the Fed and all that's going on. That's a whole other issue. Yeah. Because they're so low, there's this tendency for folks, especially near retirement, who would normally be in safe money because that used to give us some sort of a return, to go, maybe I'll edge more into stocks, I'll be a little more aggressive. It's worked out for me for the last 10 years. We're in the longest bull market in history. But if the market tanks and no one knows when that's going to happen, then those folks could see their retirement entirely derailed or changed. And so my advice to people is you have to plan as if this is going to happen. Even though no one can predict it, you take control of what you can control. And again, don't make it a political issue like I support the president, therefore I'm doubling down. Yeah. Look at your own situation.
Okay, Chris Burns, always good to have you.
Hey, thanks so much.